And now I would like to talk about the generated code and the changes in the generated code that we have done recently, and that actually give some changes in the static analysis tools that are checking the generated code. So this is an example of the code, how it looks like now. And we have changed now in this sprint, we have changed the costs, not to use C-style costs, but we are using static costs instead. And some code checkers, like, for example, we were checking the CLong, and it is now reporting an error for this situation. And the error looks like this. So it says, do not use static cost to downcast from base to a derived class. And this is the type of warning which is now triggered for this code. And this happens because we are referencing this SAP function, which comes from target RTS, and it is a general function, and then it returns an NRT protocol star, which is a super type of this myport base, which we use for as a type for the port that is used for this transition. And this raised a discussion and about how much our generated code is compliant with code checkers like CLong. So we found a couple of more situations where the generated code is not compliant. For example, this transition function, it has two parameters, but these parameters are not used inside. This is a user code, and the user is writing the code for the transition, and in some cases the parameters are not used. For example, this RT port, it's a common situation that it is not used. And all of these are pointing to the generated code, and it's not easy for the end users to fix this. And one of the solutions that we were discussing is that we can update our code generator to be compliant and to generate special suppressions for these kind of things. For example, I will now show you how this could look like in our tool, but this is not included in the delivery yet, so this is an experimental solution. For example, we can specify some settings for code compliance, and we can specify the name of the code checker, or the name for the set of rules that we would like to support. And in that case, I will now build my code. In that case, the code generator can apply some additional suppressions or additional fixes to make the code compliant. For the two cases that I have shown you, it's only well, not only. So for the case about static cost, the only solution maybe is just to add a suppression in that case, because the code checker suggests you to use dynamic cost, but we cannot maybe rely on that all our users will use runtime type information, and if they're not compiling with runtime type information, then dynamic cost will not be working. So this is now how it could look like when I turn on my support. So it is possible to generate special suppressions. This is the suppression that is suggested directly by CLong. There is also an option to use the suppressions, special comments that code checker suggests. But there is one advantage in this suppression, that it can be used inline. Directly in this inline, but if we will use code checker suppression, that should be put on the previous line, and for the generated code, this is not convenient sometimes. And this is a discussion that we would like to have and to get feedback. So what? How important is it to make our code compliant with the different code checkers, and what are the solutions that you would like to see? For example, we can in the settings. Actually, for this situation, there could be more solutions. Like, for example, we can still in this situation use an old systyle cast, but it will trigger some other warnings, not the one that we have received from this CLong. But if some customers are disabling and are okay with having this systyle casts, then it could be okay. Another solution could be to use dynamic cast. So if in your case you have runtime type information and it's okay to have a dynamic cast in that case, but the most optimal would be to have this to generate these suppressions. So any opinions on the how much configuration for the for our code generator you would like to have, and how important is it to fix the generated code?